The reason I've been picked to co-chair today is I chair a forum in England called the Rural Climate Change Forum. The role of the forum is to look at the evidence base on climate change, agriculture, forestry and the land-based sector, look at the evidence gaps, how do we fill those gaps, and then how do we work with government to advise on new innovative policy to see how this sector can rise to the challenge in climate change, both reducing greenhouse gases, but also how it adapts to the dramatically changing climate that we're all now experiencing here in Europe. Our forum is actually a collection of both what we call statutory organisations and non-statutory organisations. The secretariat of the forum is government, but the forum members are quite clearly people who have an interest in the sector. They will be from the Environment Agency right through to the National Farmers Union. I myself am a farmer, and that brings actually quite a bit of strength to my role as chairman, because I not only understand the needs of farmers, but being a past president of a farmers union in Northern Ireland, I understand the needs of farming organisations, but also the needs of policy makers in the United Kingdom. When I speak to farmers across the United Kingdom, very few of them understand. They know about carbon dioxide, they know a bit about methane, but they don't know how to compare one with the other. So one of the key things I have to give when I speak to farmers is explain that methane is 23 times more toxic as a greenhouse gas, and nitrous oxide is 296 times more toxic. And that's why now you have so much interest coming from both governments across Europe, the European Commission, United Nations, all looking at not just carbon dioxide, but looking at methane and nitrous oxide. And certainly in the United Kingdom, 40% of all the methane emissions in the United Kingdom come from agriculture, and 60% of all the nitrous oxide emissions in the United Kingdom come from agriculture. So quite clearly there's a spotlight coming on agriculture, and we need to see how we can address that, but using good research to base our evidence on our new government policies. At the end of the day, agriculture can reduce its greenhouse gases quite significantly, but the main tool to do that is to get rid of livestock. And if you get rid of livestock, then how do you feed the world? How do you feed Europe? How do you feed France? And so we need to be realistic about it. What we're seeing is that how we eat also has a big impact on greenhouse gas emissions. The livestock sectors are more intensive in carbon and greenhouse gases than vegetable production, and so we need to look at that. And so the supermarkets believe they have a role to play, and certainly the big retailers with us are now looking at carbon labelling, and they're backing it in consumer research. So last October, our largest supermarket chain in the United Kingdom, Tesco's, carried out considerable consumer research over consumers' reaction to carbon labels on food. And what they found was where you had two similar products with two carbon labels, one higher, one lower, but the products were costing the same, 96% of the people asked preferred to buy a low carbon product. Where the two products were priced differently, in other words the low carbon price product was more expensive, only 36% were prepared to pay for it. So it's very interesting because they are now looking to use carbon labelling through the food chain, and specifically in the red meat sector, as a tool to get differentiation in the marketplace and to aid consumers and how they make decisions and how they consume. And this is a new tool that's coming through very quickly. A month ago at the main show in Northern Ireland, the Balmoral show, McDonald's restaurants of all people announced that they were now carbon footprinting 20 beef producers in Northern Ireland and taking it through from field to fork in how they produce hamburgers and sell hamburgers. And we're now seeing other retailers following suit, and we see this accelerating very quickly. And there are many pluses on it, but we also need to be careful that it doesn't run ahead of the evidence, because some of the evidence is still missing, and we need to be careful that we bring consumers along constructively but don't raise their expectations where there are gaps in the science.